Hey y'all, I think we've had enough races now that we can go from our top 10 to a top 20 for Kentucky Derby 151. So that's what we're going to do from March 10th. This is Monday. We'll go from five at a time. We'll start from 20 and go up. You see number 20, Flood Zone. I wasn't thrilled with that Gotham field. I didn't think it was a very good one. This one maybe has a little bit more upside. He did run the race he was supposed to, but it wasn't around one turn. Let's see how he does in round two. New York, the New York Derby circuit is not the greatest. It usually isn't. So I'm just not that thrilled with this horse. But he did win. He's in the Derby, so he'll get a nod at number 20. Tistastic just needs to get better, and he really isn't. But he does hover around. He does stay in the money, and for that, he probably will get into the Derby. But as a win candidate or one that has upside, I'm not so sure at this point. He's had plenty of opportunity to improve and really doesn't appear to be. But he's an also ran, but he does make the top 20, and I have a feeling he'll probably get back his way into the Derby. Chunk of Gold we tipped out for the Risen Star, and he didn't disappoint at 43 to 1. Moving from synthetic was from Turfway and synthetic. I tell you, you can't go wrong with horses who move from it. They always run well. Really nice effort. He was no threat to win, but it was a solid effort among stakes company, a graded stakes company on dirt. Can he build off of it? That's really the big question. And the problem is next time you're going to get him at shorter odds, and I'm not so sure that he merits it right now. But he's certainly on the list, and he is a bit of a sleeper. Let's see how he does in the Louisiana Derby or wherever he runs next. 17 is Captain Cook. Won the Withers, but there was no pace in that race at all. And so he kind of had things his own way. He did rate, which was kind of interesting. I thought he would go wire to wire, but still, this is a pretty good horse. I'm not so sure he wants a mile and a quarter. That's really the big issue for me. But Dick Dutrow is a master horseman, and sometimes horses outrun their pedigree. Let's see how he does in the Wood Memorial. If he can repeat and run back to that, maybe we have to take him a little more seriously. Getaway car number 16 won the Sunland Derby, and I liked the way he did it. He had showed a lot of grit, which we hadn't really seen from him. But the one thing you do have to remember is when these West Coast Stakes races, when you're running at Santa Anita or Del Mar, Bob Baffert can basically dictate the pace of the race. And I think, as we saw with Manicat Road in the Rebel, he basically tells a lot of jockeys, if you're not going to win it, then don't press the issue. And that may be the case with Getaway Car. I don't think he's clearly on Baffert's JV. I don't think there's any doubt about that. But this one may be a little bit better than we thought. And like I said, I did like that Sunland Derby, the way he dueled with Caldera and was able to get up. So maybe a little better. We'll see how he does when he runs next. He's a minor player at best right now, but there he is at number 16. Number 15 is East Avenue. I haven't forgotten about him. I don't think we can. Yes, his debut was a dud, without a doubt, but we can give him a little credit and say, okay, maybe he needed a race. He rated well, he broke well, he did everything right. He just fell apart in the stretch. So maybe he needs the lead. That might be the issue. We don't know yet. Let's see how he does, but he's running out of time. He better run big in the Louisiana Derby, or we won't see him again on this list. Number 14 is Hill Road. I continue to believe he's a better Derby prospect than Chance McPatrick. The Tampa Bay Derby, I don't know that the blinkers really didn't have him any more forwardly placed, maybe a little more focused. Right about the same race he did in the Breeders' Cup on a speed favoring track. I think he can build off of it. Let's see what he does when he has a track that's fair or a little more conducive to his running style, gives him the opportunity to win. I don't think he had it in the Tampa Bay Derby. I'm firm on that. But this is a horse I'm going to be watching because I think he has a move or two forward in him. Number 13 is Built. We know what he is. He's a hard knocker. He's just a cut below. I think he's a horse you can always use in your exotics, but he's just not as good as the best. That's really what it comes down to. He's a really nice horse. He competes. He brings it every time, but minor player for me. Number 12 is River Thames. I don't know that we're going to see him in this list again. I don't think this horse wants two turns. The Gulfstream, you can get a little farther than you can on other tracks. And I think the Fountain of Youth at a mile and 16th is probably the ceiling. You can see that he was probably was getting a little tired, and Sovereignty, who has two-turn pedigree, ran him down. But this is a horse with a lot of quality. He proved it to me in the Fountain of Youth, and I think if they put him back in the Pat Day Mile, he's a pretty good candidate to win that race. But who knows? We'll see what they want to do. We'll see what he does in the Florida Derby. I'm not confident with River Thames at a mile and a quarter. Number 11 is Manicat Road. I love that Rebel. He did everything he was supposed to do. He just got run down by a better horse. Cold Battle ran a monster. This one I've always liked. I think he has quality. We'll see where he goes next. I don't think he necessarily has to be on the lead at any time. I think he can rate. And if he builds off the Rebel Stakes, this may be one of Bob Baffert's top Derby contenders. So, Manicat Road, number 11. Now we're into our top 10. I had the lower chance of McPatrick. Now, I didn't think he ran a bad Tampa Bay Derby. But the thing that bothered me was they threw blinkers on him. He was more forwardly placed, and he was at the right part of the track on the inside. Had a little bit of traffic, but not enough to tell me that it impeded his effort. And he wasn't able to get to Owen Almighty. Now, he did have there was a speed bias, and I'm not disputing that. And he may have needed a race. Certainly, Chad Brown is planning for the first Saturday in May, not the second Saturday in March. We know this. But I just wondered a little bit about his, if two turns saps his late surge. We saw it in the Breeders' Cup, kind of worked that way, and being more forwardly placed. Sometimes when they try this, like they did with Angel of Empire a couple years ago, it doesn't work out. And so I'm going to give Chance McPatrick another bite, but I just kind of think he may have got exposed a little bit in that race. But let's see how he does in his next start. Number 9, Owen Almighty. We're going to give him this for doing what he was supposed to do in the Tampa Bay Derby and for being a really good horse. He's been solid all the way along the Derby trail. I don't think you're going to see him again in the top 10. Frankly, he's not a two-turn horse. I firmly believe that. I think he had the track working for him at Tampa Bay Downs. And I think the mile and a 16th probably the limit for a horse who likely has more of a sprinter pedigree. I'd love him in the Pat Day Mile. He's a really nice horse. He's just not a mile and a quarter horse. So this is more of an honorary placement, but Owen Almighty probably going to be better around one turn. Number 8 is John Hancock. Well, Owen Almighty just validated John Hancock's win in the Sam F. Davis, I think. John Hancock has two-turn pedigree. Surprised the hell out of me for a maiden moving into a stakes race and performing as well as he did and showing so much grit in the stretch, which really impressed me. I think this one certainly has room for improvement. He's really Brad Cox's only hope for a solid Derby contender at this point, especially after what we saw Patch Adams do in the Tampa Bay Derby. So John Hancock maybe a little better than I thought he was, and he's one definitely want to keep an eye on for his next start. I think it's going to be the Louisiana Derby, but I know he's listed for the Virginia Derby, but I've heard rumblings that they're probably going to scratch him out. So let's see. Number 7 is Sandman. The problem is between the ears. He's certainly got talent. He's a tappet. This is what happens with them. He's a solid contender to be in the exotics in the Derby, but until he puts it between the ears and can get himself together, he's an also ran. He's a little bit better than that, let's say. But I really wanted to put John Hancock ahead of him. I just, beating Owen Almighty, who is two turns, is a little suspect, and the field wasn't so great. That's kind of the only reason I'm keeping Sandman and Burnham Square, for that matter, up ahead. Burnham Square, I like this horse. I thought the Fountain of Youth was better than expected, than people have been saying it is. I really do. I think this horse can improve. Maybe they should have, taken a break and waited for the Florida Derby, given some more time to recover from the Holy Bull. I don't know. But I thought also it was a big mistake on the jockey's part, keeping him at the back on a speed favoring track. So this horse being more forwardly placed, I think, has much better chance to progress. And I think they know now, he can't just circle the field at Gulfstream anyway, and that, he does need to tactically be a little more engaged. But I like Burnham Square, and I think he'll bounce back with a better effort in the Florida Derby. So here's our top five. Not a lot of movement, but except for we moved up Barnes, and here's why. If journalism isn't in the San Felipe, Barnes wins that race handily. Now, it's pretty clear that 2 turns is not necessarily what Barnes wants, and that's obviously going to be a big problem going a mile and a quarter, but he's awful classy. He's got a lot of talent, and he's sort of there by default right now. I don't expect him to stay in the top 5 unless he can rebound in the Santa Anita Derby. But I think it can kind of tell you how top-heavy this Derby field is right now, potentially. So Barnes, number 5, but I think he'll be dropping when we get to the Santa Anita Derby. That's just my guess, but we'll see. Cold Battle, number 4, basically only because the top 3 are better than he is right now. He's an excellent horse. He's undefeated on dirt. He brings it every time. He's everything you want in a Derby horse, except he does need to get faster. But he's a gritty competitor, and I really like this horse. I've become a believer for sure. So Cold Battle, number 4. Citizen Bull, number 3. I think he's probably better than we thought. He hasn't been getting a lot of respect. Most of the attention's been paid to Barnes. But you know what? This one came off the bench in the Bob Lewis, and he looks to be like the real deal. I mean, we'll see what happens when he and journalism tangle up, if they do. But right now, I think he's a solid contender at number 3. Going to be tough to win the Derby on the wire, but there he is. Number 2 is Sovereignty. Broke a little slow in the Fountain of Youth, but boy, what a great close. It was a longer run-up, so he did have a little more time to get going in the Fountain of Youth. So that kind of discounts the effort a little bit, but still, coming off the bench, I thought it was a really solid effort to run down the leader in the stretch. And I've always liked this horse. He's got 2-turn pedigree, can run all day, and he's only going to get better, in my opinion. So Sovereignty, a very solid number 2. Number 1, of course, is Journalism. Just a breathtaking San Felipe. And if he can build off of that, boy, everybody's going to be playing for second. It was just an outstanding effort. And Mike McCarthy has really got a good one here. So without a doubt, Journalism, number 1. So there's the top 20 for your perusal. I certainly know there will be differences of opinion. There always are. Let me know. I always love to hear from you guys. But we're going to do something a little new right now. And we're going to take a look at, and we're going to do this as we go. We're going to look at what the field looks like right now from a race shape perspective. Now, these are horses that I think have got the requisite points to run in the Derby. 50 or more should do it for the most part. Usually I think it's around 40. So I think these ones are very solid to be in. So you see Citizen Bull as our lone front runner, and then we've got some pressures. Owen Almighty I got a question mark by because his connections have said the Pat Day Mile may be where he's going to go. But hey, if they get Derby fever, he'll be in the race. Flood Zone and Cold Battle are definite pace pressures. I don't know that Flood Zone would try to get to the lead in the Derby. If he does, I think it's a pretty good sign that he ain't going to finish. That's what I think. And then we have our, Journalism, mid-pack, pace presser, and Sovereignty, our closer. And, boy, it just, I can't, can you just imagine Journalism and Sovereignty dueling down the stretch? It's a real possibility. But so that's what we've got right now. So I think we've got a solid 14 more spots to fill out. We've got the Virginia Derby coming up. We will have a posting for that this week, as well as the Virginia Oaks. And we'll continue along with the Derby Trail with continued postings. So much more content on the way. Stay on the lookout for that. I hope you enjoyed this posting, and let me know what you think. let me know what your list looks like. I always, again, love to hear from you guys. If you do like content like this, of course, please like and subscribe. Thanks to all of you who have been continue to come on board. We do appreciate it. That's it from here. I'll talk to you soon, and until then, be well.